Hey, it's Dr. Beth with Psych Downloads. Today I'm continuing the series called Emotion Regulation, and I'm going to focus on one of the 6 strategies of co-regulation. So this is how we turn to other people to help feel soothed, to help us regulate, to help us feel better, to help us improve our mood when we're feeling sad, and to help us calm ourselves down when we're feeling anxious. And this is a really important strategy. So this is physical intimacy. And I really want to highlight that physical intimacy can be platonic, it can be romantic, it can be sexual. There's a lot of different types of physical intimacy, and I really want to stress that because not everybody feels as soothed by sexual connection as others. Likewise, soothing ourselves sexually is one of many ways that we can obtain co-regulation through physical intimacy, but we also can achieve this through a lot of other ways of touch and connection with other people. Likewise, there's a lot of people who are asexual, that they don't turn to sexual intimacy for soothing, but I really want to highlight that physical intimacy, coming into contact with other people, is a great way to regulate ourselves. So some of the ways to think about this as well is think about an infant. You know, when an infant is feeling fussy or upset or scared or tired, one of the best ways that we console and care for an infant is to pick it up and to hold it. And so this experience feels soothing because it is a non-verbal way to offer support. It is a non-verbal way to have co-regulation between another human and a baby. So I really want to highlight that this is what physical intimacy is all about. It's about taking the world's oldest way that we co-regulate, physically being held, and utilizing this to help soothe and to regulate our emotions. And so why this happens is because we are made of all of these different nerves, right? We have all of this massive nervous system that as an adult, we focus a lot on this part of our nervous system, but we don't focus on this part of our nervous system. But our nervous system is throughout our body. And so if we can learn to soothe ourselves or to feel better in our body, it will help our mind to feel calm and regulated. Hence, why physical intimacy is so important. You know, just holding somebody's hand when we're scared, getting a hug from someone when we're feeling sad, or even having sex when we've had a stressful day. All of these can be really wonderful nonverbal ways of achieving co-regulation with another person. There are a lot of different ways to engage in physical intimacy. So, intercourse, sex, sexual play, cuddles, hugs, putting your arm around somebody, shaking their hand, holding their hand, just touching somebody's arm to give them a sense of reassurance. These are all different ways to create physical intimacy to allow co-regulation. And so I really want to highlight that this doesn't just mean, if I don't have anybody that I'm in a partnership or romantic partnership with, I'm not going to be able to get these needs met, because that's not the case. The other thing to consider is, one of the ways that we co-regulate and we feel better is to also offer other people support. So one of the things that you can think about when you're offering somebody support is check in with them. Just be like, do you mind if I just put my arm around you? Do you mind if I just give you a hug right now? Or, you pick up somebody's hand, and just hold it in yours when they're having a hard time. Because this is a way that we can also offer other people nonverbal support. And of course, consent is needed. So I want to be really clear about that, but I want to encourage you to think about nonverbal ways that you can get co-regulated, not just through talking to other people, not just through accomplishing something with other people, but also through just good old cuddles or just getting a hug from somebody, and how important that can be for helping us to feel better. I want to talk a little bit about sexual intimacy. Sexual intimacy is a really great way to achieve co-regulation and physical intimacy through somebody else. But I also want to highlight that sexual intimacy is really different for each person. For some, it's a very, romantic experience. For some, it's a very playful experience. It's a very fun, hedonistic experience. And so I really want to mention that because sometimes there are people who find that sex and sexuality and sexual play is a way that they achieve emotion regulation, but sometimes they don't have the ability to do that through some of the other co-regulation strategies. And because we need consent with sex and sexuality, finding alternative ways other than just sex to help yourself feel better is going to be really, really essential. And so one of the ways, of course, that we can do this is to actually add in the verbal. But I just wanted to give that a little bit of a caveat. But that being said, sometimes when partners are in conflict, they're working so hard to find a way to connect verbally, and they're having difficulty doing this. But sometimes when we connect non-verbally, sometimes when we just hold each other and we just cuddle, sometimes when we have sex or we have sexual play or we touch one another, somehow our nervous systems change and we feel more connected. And some of the, anger and the upset, and especially the defensiveness that we're feeling, can kind of melt away. So I really want to kind of mention that physical intimacy can also be a way to relieve interpersonal distress sometimes. Sometimes hugging it out really does help. So I wanted to offer that to you as you think about ways to co-regulate. Sometimes you don't have to just tell everybody what's going on if that doesn't feel comfortable to you vulnerably or authentically, but you can ask somebody, can I have a hug? Can I just be held for a second? And this doesn't need to be a partner. I really want to highlight that. While it can be a lover or a partner that you turn to for physical intimacy, it doesn't need to be. You can have platonic connections with people and still get support. Sometimes with friends, we want to offer them a hug when they're having a hard time, but we feel sort of uncomfortable, making that happen. So I want to say, whether or not you need a hug or whether or not you want to offer a hug, just ask. Just check in with somebody, because it's amazing how much emotion regulation we can have simply from having physical connection with somebody else. Lastly, I just wanted to share that if you are in partnership with others in a romantic or sexual way, be really mindful of how they might want to receive co-regulation, because sometimes when we are in conflict, one person in a dynamic will want physical intimacy and another person will need some space. So it's going to be really important to kind of talk this out, because sometimes there can be conflicts between how we want to get soothed. So I just wanted to highlight that just so you can have a little bit more awareness. But I'd like you to think about, what are the ways that you achieve physical intimacy for co-regulation? What are the ways you think about touch and connection with other people as a way to help ground you, to calm you, to ease your fears, to take down your overwhelm, or to improve your mood? Because this is the oldest strategy that we have in our lifetime of turning to others to help us regulate our feelings. And so this is a really important one that a lot of times adults overlook, but it is incredible what can happen when there's physical intimacy with another person, and how that can help us to feel soothed and regulated. So this video is part of a 14-part series called Emotion Regulation. You can find the entire series on YouTube at Psych Downloads, so please subscribe to my videos there. Follow me on Instagram at Psych Downloads, and like Psych Downloads on Facebook. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Dr. Beth.